This is AgGrad Live,
We have all of the different segments within the cotton.
the show that explores what it's really like to work in the ag industry,
So making sure that we get policy and regulatory issues
straight from the people who live it every day. Good evening, AgGrad Nation. My name is Tim Hamrich. I am one of the founders of AgGrad and love doing these live broadcasts on Facebook. These shows get repurposed also as YouTube video and a podcast, but it's really fun just to show up live and be here. If you want to ask questions, please do so in the comments and just spend a little bit of time together exploring some interesting story or career or approach to agriculture. We definitely have one of those for you here today. Before we dive into our guest, I do want to remind everyone that we last week launched our AgGrad 30 Under 30 program. So if you know anyone doing interesting things in the industry of agriculture in any capacity, and they're under the age of 30, we would love for you to nominate those people. So just go here to this website, 30under30.ag, and nominate somebody that you think is deserving of that distinction. It's really easy. You just kind of tell us who they are and why they belong on the list. So encourage you to definitely do that. But here today, we have with us Tracy Cotton. So Tracy, I'm going to bring you on to AgGrad Live. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Tim. I appreciate it.
Well, you and I have known each other just online over the past couple of years. You do a great job of engaging with people about agriculture and about insurance online. And as I kind of showed up and started talking about careers in agriculture, you and I have been able to interact quite a bit. But what strikes me about you, Tracy, and actually even before I get into it, I want to mention your LinkedIn profile. It says Tracy Cotton, CIC CISR. And you'll have to tell me, and I guess everyone else, what do those letters after your name mean?
The CIC stands for Certified Insurance Counselor, and the CISR is Certified Insurance Service Representative. And those are designations within the insurance industry. You have to take some classes, pass some tests, and then you have to keep up with your continuing education in order to have those designations.
Okay. And I think when a lot of people hear insurance, they kind of think, oh boy, something we have to have. You know, they think health insurance, they think car insurance, and it's so, there's so much paperwork and it's so daunting, and you pay the premiums and then you kind of hope you never need it. But you are someone who's just like passionate about insurance, and this isn't just crop insurance. In fact, I'd love to hear more about kind of what you do and why it gets you so excited.
Well, it's something that I've been doing for a long time. I think that I actually figured up the other day that it's 23 years now that I've been in the insurance industry. Started out working on the company side, and then moved over to working in an independent insurance agency. And then I've spent most of the rest of that time doing different things within the independent insurance world. And one of the things that I figured out was that it was a great way to really take care of other people. I love serving people and working with people. It was something that I had really even enjoyed even when I was in college. Just those kinds of classes and so forth. As far as business went, I really liked the idea of working with people. And insurance is something that I think is, of course, very necessary, but it opens so many doors for folks and really takes care of them from anything from when they first buy their first home and they get that taste of having to have insurance in order to purchase a home, all the way up through to where I have been in the last few years, which is working on what they consider to be the commercial insurance or business insurance side of things. And that's where I came in with the farm and agribusiness. I like to call myself a farm to fork insurance agent because I get to do a lot of other fun things along with it. But it is one of those kind of careers that I think that keeps me excited because it can be so many different things. And I've continued to be able to evolve it as time has gone by.
That's cool. And I think that's one thing you and I share, me as a recruiter and you in the insurance business, is we get to be there during some of the most pivotal times in life. And I didn't really know about that, or I didn't think about that when I got into this business. But, you know, a new career, a new house, a new business in your case, you know, those are huge pivotal moments, and you get to be a part of, you know, what's usually a really personal decision. So I think that's cool, and it's awfully rewarding when everything kind of works out. You have mentioned to me the fact that there is a demand for people wanting to go into insurance. So why do you think there is such a demand, and what should people be excited about if they're considering insurance as a career?
Well, the actual statistic that they should be excited about is that there is over 200,000 new jobs that are expected to be in the insurance industry.
We kept it going, so glad you're back.
Thank you.
So sorry, continue on.
I just was going to say that that really a lot of it, you know, is the fact that it's an aging industry, but there's also continuing to be innovation that I think that is creating new jobs. It is going to be different. It's going to change over time, and what people may have known as just having the insurance agent down the street in their town, depending on where their situation is, it may change over time, but the number of opportunities is still there. And that's something that I think is really exciting, especially for somebody who is wanting to come into the industry.
And what does someone need to do? In fact, actually, Tracy, if you could maybe tilt your camera down a little bit, because you're pretty low on the screen. There you are. Perfect. What does someone need to do if they think, okay, I could, you know, I like the idea of kind of being a part of people's big business decisions, big personal decisions. Obviously, I love agriculture, and I think it's a good way to contribute to the industry. What do I need to do to position myself to get a job in this industry? And what does an entry-level job look like?
Well, there's two things that I wanted to bring up. I know that one of the things that we're seeing is that anybody who really has been focused maybe in their college career in finance, business, etc., that there's more colleges now that are offering risk management with an emphasis on insurance that are available now. North Carolina has 3 different programs. I know that there is a website that lists programs in almost every state now called investprogram.org, and it's put on through the support of the insurance industry, because we are trying to bring people in, not just, however, from the college end of it. I think there's probably 400 programs throughout the United States that are available. But one of the things that I thought was a beautiful thing was how many people that I've met in the industry that didn't even go to college. They actually were able to get in on an entry-level position within maybe their local insurance agency or through other types of programs that were able to get them in on an entry level without having to have that background, as long as they were willing to do the other things that were necessary. If they had good customer service skills, perhaps they had some sales or marketing skills, those were things that were going to benefit them regardless. And I know that I've had friends that I went to college. I graduated with a psych degree, but I have friends that are the same age as I am that we're in the exact same spot that we are in life, and they just started out just strictly coming straight to the agency off the street or from high school.
One question I think is going to come up with any career like insurance is the question about cold calling. Do you have to do cold calling, and how is that? Should we be worried about the idea of having to do some cold calling?
Cold calling is not dead. I know that that's something that a lot of folks, want to say that because of social media that you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's still very much alive, and it's something that a lot of people have success with. But one of the things that I've noticed, and I've definitely recognized being in farm and agribusiness, is I don't think that that's necessarily the only, and definitely not necessarily the best way to make relationships and connections. I spend much more of my time getting out and spending time in the agribusiness community, whether it be just visiting a local farmers market and getting to know some of the local farmers there, all the way up through conferences. I go every year to the North Carolina Agritourism Networking Association conference. I'm slated to go in December to a symposium on value-added dairy, where I'll be exhibiting and sponsoring. I also have had the opportunity to speak for the last 2 years at a conference called the Business of Farming that is put on by the Appalachian Sustainable Agriculture Project here in Western North Carolina. It's great because it's a kind of conference that gives farmers the opportunity to really think of themselves as a business and work on their business. I get to talk about the details of insurance. Somebody else gets to talk about the legal aspects of setting up your actual LLCs and so forth to perpetuate, what that looks like from a business perspective with farming.
Cool. And so I want to ask you more about that, because you have sort of developed yourself as an expert, a leading expert when it comes to insurance, especially like you say, from farm to fork, or in agriculture and farming. One question I get a lot is, how do I sort of put myself out there on social media? How do I develop my personal brand while I'm still an employee? Because won't my boss think that's weird? And what if it gets back to them? And what will people think? And that sort of thing. So tell us about how you have developed that sort of reputation, because I think there's a lot of people who would love to end up giving speeches and going into events and kind of being an expert in their field, but don't know the first way to get started. So maybe start us from scratch and tell us how you did that.
Well, one of the things that I was very fortunate is that I never had any pushback from my direct supervisors or any of the agency owners on me developing myself as a brand. I had recognized that I wanted to go into this niche, and I felt that it would be beneficial for me to start really having more of a voice personally and be the face of that particular department, if you will, within the agency. I have had a lot of people ask me, well, what if my boss thinks that I'm looking to get all of these customers and then run away with them? I mean, when you have your own personal brand, am I really representing the agency? And that's a little bit of a balance. I think that everybody has to kind of come to a conclusion on that and work that out within the management that you work with. But what I'm seeing now is that there's definitely a recognition within the insurance industry in general that everybody knows that people don't just buy insurance from a person that's just a blank person. They buy insurance from someone they have a relationship with. And that it's always been a relationship business, that even if you call a 1-800 number, that really one of the things that can be missing is that relationship. And as people usually get more involved with their farm as a business, they get more involved in maybe production of, they actually start producing cheese, or they start producing something on their farm, and they realize they're going to be going next level perhaps. Then they start realizing, I can't just go, just call the 1-800 number. I need something a little bit more advisory. I need somebody who's really going to be not just on my side, which, I know that's one of the things that we do say as a tagline, but really be somebody who can bring that expertise in and be that trusted advisor, just like you'd have an accountant as an advisor, just like you have your attorney who's an advisor. And those are the kind of things I think that really make a big difference in why people buy from people. The fun thing for me on social media is that I realized I could still be me, and that people liked that, that I could talk about hiking and getting outdoors, and pictures of when I go out and I'm trying a flight of beer somewhere even. One of the things that I actually do is, in addition to the farm, along with that comes breweries. More and more farms are selling to breweries, and to me, it was really a win-win, because I knew that was something I could connect. And so I write brewery insurance. Well, that's something that it's going to be natural for me to actually have a flight of beer occasionally. And that's okay, because then they recognize that I'm also a person. And that's, I think, something that's really been a change in insurance, because it used to be that you always wore the suit and tie. You weren't wearing the t-shirt saying insurance is my jam like I do. You weren't doing some of the things that I see more and more nowadays. It's more acceptable in insurance than maybe was before.
And at what point for you did you realize that social media could be a really useful part of your business? And I guess what changed for you in terms of your behavior at that point?
Well, the thing that I think to me was actually the most surprising, as I knew that I had actually spent some time prior to coming into the farm to fork end of things. I had been working as a consultant for about a year before I came back onto the independent insurance side. Kind of a little break in the middle there a few years back. And I recognized that one of the things I was finding when I was going to visit independent insurance agents is that they all had a need for marketing. They needed to understand digital marketing. They needed to understand, what did that look like to be online? Where did they need to be online? How did they need to present themselves? I had done a lot of work with some of those agencies on Facebook, but personally, I loved Twitter and Instagram. Those are two of the things that I really enjoyed working with myself. I thought it was a lot of fun. But when I came back into the agency and finally decided that I wanted to work with Farm to Fork, I thought, well, I guess I'm probably going to have to give up Twitter, because I doubt that I'm going to really probably get much traction there. Boy, was I wrong. One of the things that I think that I've learned more from in the last few years is all I had to do is type in ag Twitter, hashtag ag Twitter, and there was a wealth of information, networking, and connection that I had available to me.
That's great. And I think actually that's how you and I first connected, was on Twitter, and you connected me to my insurance agent in Texas, because I reached out to you and said, well, I don't do that, but here's the perfect guy to be your insurance agent. So it's just so cool. It's social media. And so it is a little bit different, but I mean, the contacts you can make and the network that you can build, and how mutually beneficial it can be is pretty astounding to me. And I think you're a great example, Tracy, of, I talk to a lot of young people who aren't sure what they want with their career, and they think they need to pursue something that on the surface looks really exciting. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all should be excited about our careers, but I think you're a great example of the fact that maybe something like insurance that isn't on a surface level extremely exciting, you can really make it exciting. It's in your approach, no matter what the basic service is. And I know one way you've made it exciting, you mentioned the breweries, but also you've got really involved in agritourism, especially there in North Carolina. Talk about kind of what drew you to agritourism, and just kind of what you do for that.
Well, one of the things I think that drew me to it really was just the recognition that it was a growing thing. It was not going to go away, and that it was something that I wanted to connect with, if nothing else, on the level that I knew that if I was working with a farm that wanted to make that kind of extra income, to really be able to keep farming, to keep doing what they love, which is typically what ends up happening. I mean, really, at this point in time, there's a lot of farms out there that are using that extra income really to fund everything else. That's one of the things that has become, not only it's win-win because people want to spend more time on the farm. The general public who didn't grow up there is wanting to come out and visit, and that's something that I think that's become a little romanticized, and it's a good thing. But I knew that if I was talking to a farmer and we were talking about what they did and making sure they had coverage for it, that if they had dreams of bringing people out and really connecting them, whether it be school groups, as I've seen a lot of farms, especially here in North Carolina, that's one of the things that they really want, is they want to be able to bring young people out and connect them with what it is, where their food comes from, what it is that they are doing, and also the history of farming. Because in some cases, these may be family farms. But even if it's just somebody who maybe even has only been doing it for a few years, because we see some of that as well, that they still want to show how much fun and how entertaining it can be, perhaps, to really spend some time out there and share the beauty in some cases as well, because a lot of it's that beauty, that pastoral, that barn for people to get married in, or being able to sit out and watch a sunset. And these are people who are city bound and are going to want to enjoy it. So I didn't want to turn them down. I didn't want to say, no, I don't have anything for you. And so seeking out those solutions to making sure that they were going to be okay with bringing people out, because that was increasing the risk to their property and to their livelihood. Because, I mean, literally speaking, the wrong person saying that they got hurt on their farm could literally make them lose the farm. It was something that I thought was important. And also, it just was one of the things, of course, that was a lot of fun. It is definitely something that I found a lot of joy in the fact that they're all so different. And that's something that keeps it interesting for me. And I just know that I want to make sure that they have the opportunity to do whatever it is they want. And in some cases, I mean, it may mean, zip lines and zombie paintball, but at least they are getting to do the things that they want and continuing to be able to keep that farm alive.
Zip lines and zombie paintball.
It's a thing. Most people are just, there's more traditional ones for sure, but that's the future.
Right.
And with that means that the insurance companies that I represent have got to start understanding that they've got to start looking at the bigger picture. There's insurance carriers out there that have been specializing in adventure for a long time. They're just not in the same room as the people who have been insuring farms. Literally speaking, it may be even the same company. And these are different areas that have never even spoken to each other. I'm finding that to be the case, where they have actually had a division that specialized in summer camps or adventure programs, but then they also had a division that specialized in agribusiness and farm, but the two have never talked. And so it's been an interesting experience to really see that kind of unfold, and the companies starting to wake up to the fact that this is something that's going to be needed and they want to be in on it.
Right. Makes sense. It makes sense. Well, before we let you go, Tracy, what's one piece of advice you'd like all the young professionals that are in the AgGrad Nation community to take to heart as they try to advance their own careers?
Well, one of the things I did want to mention is, along with the fact that a lot of the colleges are offering more classes that are more related to risk management and related to insurance in the business ends especially, that there's more internships available than ever. And even my own agency just recently went and spent time at Appalachian State University at a day where they could actually talk to possible folks for internships. And with that in mind, that's something that wasn't available when I was coming out of college. I didn't even know was available. And so going ahead and doing a little bit of research, there's scholarships available. There's definitely a lot of opportunity. But even if they're just coming straight into the agency, one of the things that I think is really exciting is that opportunity for growth and development, because there's going to be room to grow. There's going to be people retiring and positions opening, whole agencies needing to be perhaps taken over by a younger generation. And I want that younger generation to care about farming and agriculture as much as I do, because I think that that's one of the things that's necessary and is going to continue to need insurance, and really need insurance from people who can bring that kind of love and background to it.
And is insurance an option for someone who maybe started down a different career path? Maybe they're 5 years into selling chemical and they want to pivot to insurance. Is that a possibility?
I think that's absolutely a possibility. Anybody who has developed any people skills whatsoever, and for that matter, for those of you who like to crunch numbers, actuarial positions are available. Claims. There's so many different aspects to insurance. It doesn't even have to be just strictly selling one-to-one. There's definitely technology aspects that are out there that are starting to really grow to help support the insurance industry and help them to continue to grow and meet the needs of their clients. And so there's so many different aspects of it. I would say that almost any background, that there's probably a job that they could find that they like. And on that investprogram.org website, there's actually even one of those personality tests that you can take, and it will tell you what you might be interested in the insurance field. And it's dozens of different career choices.
Okay, I might just want to hop on there just to take the personality test because I'm curious. But no, I think you make a compelling case. Obviously, there is a lot of opportunity coming up in the insurance business. It can be a very rewarding and lucrative career. So cool. I hope somebody watching this broadcast today or watching the re-release of it on YouTube or on the podcast actually is thinking about what they want to do for the next career move and maybe can look in insurance. If they want to follow back up with you though, Tracy, what's a good way for them to do that, either through social media, or what's the best way to connect with you?
My handle on Instagram is INS Tracy. And I'm on Instagram a lot, but I also can usually be found daily on Twitter, and that's Tracy L. Cotton. On Twitter. I do answer direct messages, and anybody who's got any questions, if I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody who does. And that's something that I would be happy to connect somebody with, somebody who might be able to help them with whatever particular questions they have, even if it's not about what it is that I do, but other opportunities in the insurance industry.
Excellent. Well, Tracy, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a lot of fun, and you definitely are passionate about what you do. And those are the type of people I want to be around, and the type of people I want to get on the show. So thank you so much for being on AgGrad Live. Thank you so much, Tim, for this opportunity. It's been great.
Thank you for joining AgGrad Live. Visit aggrad.com. That's AGGRAD to join the community, create your profile, and learn more about careers in the agriculture industry.